The goal of the Energy Democracy Initiative is to bring together a community of trade union leaders and thinkers around a new agenda. The agenda being to advance energy democracy. We have a climate crisis and we have the rising use of fossil fuels. This is putting the planet on a collision course, and in the middle of that equation are unions. We work in fossil fuels, we work in the energy sector, we burn fossil fuels when we drive vehicles.
One dimension of the energy and climate emergency that the Energy Democracy Initiative is addressing is energy poverty, that there's 1.5 billion people in the world who don't have regular access to electricity. And democratic control of our energy systems, particularly community control of our energy system, is going to be essential to meeting the energy needs of all people in the world.
In October 2012, the Worker Institute at Cornell, in partnership with the Global Labour Institute and the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, convened a global trade union roundtable titled Energy Emergency, Energy Transition. Unions from 18 countries sent representatives. The purpose of the meeting was to come to terms with the worrying trends in the global energy system, particularly the rise and anticipated rise of fossil fuel use, which is threatening the planet with not just increased pollution, but the prospect of 6 degrees Celsius of global warming.
We've only experienced about half of the warming due to the gases that are already in the atmosphere. The rest is still in the pipeline, and the danger is that we can pass tipping points in which the dynamics of the system begins to take over, and you get changes that are out of our control. The bad news is that it's become clear from the science that we're already in a dangerous level of atmospheric carbon dioxide. But the good news is that it's still possible to deal with this problem, and there would be multiple benefits of doing that.
We have coal sector unions, we have electricity workers union, and we also organize what is called the contract workers in most of the energy sector in India. Oh, it's been a great learning in terms of understanding what are the core experiences of the various energy unions struggle. And I think it was also fascinating and more informative in terms of understanding what is the implication of the climate crisis.
I think it's very, very important debate and discussion, out of which hopefully we could arrive later today at a consensus on some steps forward so that we can be, as a labor movement, proactive to not only at the national level but at the global level, proactive in terms of putting forward specific alternative policies that address the need to transition out of fossil fuels, but on the basis of social justice and equity for workers, for communities, for countries that themselves may be very dependent on the production of fossil fuels.
We would need something more stable coming out of this to continue the discussion and actually to help build a forum where unions on a global scale can actually exchange their ideas on building strategies to fight climate change. How can unions strategically address the climate change, which is, of course, such a big issue for humanity that unions can't do it all on their own. What kind of allies do we need? How do we win allies? How can we make stable relationships? How can we reach a consensus on various issues?
I'm very keen that we keep the links that have been developed at the conference so far in some form. Keen that we look at some collaboration, maybe on a range of areas. The one would be education. Just about everyone here has spoken about the importance of having an education approach to these issues with our membership and beginning to develop a more critical consciousness amongst the members of our organizations. I also think there are a whole range of policy issues that need a lot more thinking, and coming out of this roundtable, I would like to see the organizations here collaborating on that. And obviously the big issue on that would be the public ownership of energy.
If labor and the labor movement and workers are not articulating their own vision for how we transition to a more renewables-based, low-carbon, more sustainable energy system, one that provides high-quality service for communities, that has less impact, negative impact on workers and communities, then that vision is going to be defined by someone else, mainly, corporations and governments. And so it's imperative, and this is what the Energy Democracy Initiative is about workers and the labor movement defining their own vision for this transition to a low carbon, sustainable, equitable energy system.
We are all have a stake in the outcome of the energy system. And so changing that system is in the interests of all of us, every union, but also every living person on the planet.
The Energy Democracy Initiative is a multi-partner initiative. Special thanks to the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung New York office, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, global union federations, and union affiliates for making this initiative possible. For more information, visit the project website at energydemocracyinitiative.org.